All right, tonight we have Coach Kenny Simpson from Batesville, from Southside Batesville, Arkansas High School, head coach out there. Also, he has a website, fbcoachsimpson.com. Lots of great information out there. Coach Simpson, maybe you can give a quick little background of your career, along with some of the products that you offer with your coaching clinics and your coaching, I guess, teachings.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. First of all, always an honor to talk to coaches and who's watching this. It's always cool to be able to connect. So really, really cool. Appreciate let me get on here, Martin. And real quick background, and I'll give you the 2 minutes, so we're not taking forever, getting this going. But I was a military kid growing up, so moved everywhere. Decided I want to be a coach when I was in college, and started my career in Alabama as a junior high coach. Moved to Montgomery and got my first head coaching job at 27 at a school called Alabama Christian Academy. They were 4A, kind of a bigger school in Alabama. I had some success there, but about 3 years in, we made the move states. So if you're not familiar with our geography, Alabama's kind of kingpin in football. Moved to Arkansas, which is also pretty good high school football. Took a job at a school that had been struggling. A lot of times when you make a change from state to state, you just have to take whatever's out there. So got humbled pretty quickly. I was 27 and was coach of the year at 28, and then went 0-10 at about 32. So you kind of go through the gamut there. Was able to, fortunately, had an administration school support system that let me build it where we are now. I took a job at Searcy for a little bit, which is down the road. It's a 6A school in Arkansas. And then COVID kind of hit in the middle of all of that. While that hit, I started producing coaching materials. I think you mentioned that a little bit. And so produce a lot of things. As I've gotten older, I really want to kind of help the next generation of coaches. So there's lots of ways you can do that. We try to do them through materials, written materials like books, and they can be scheme stuff. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Buck Sweep later on. They can be scheme, or they can just be organizational type things. So we've got lots of things in that world. Behind me on the wall, my wife and I produce a free football magazine for coaches just to kind of grow in their knowledge as well. And then we do a lot of events. So we do a lot of like gun tee scheme events. And then we're actually putting together coaches and wives and families cruise, kind of a way to connect. So that's really short story where I am now. I tried to get out of coaching so I could do this full time, and went back to Southside. And when I went back as an assistant just to help. Head coach got promoted to another job. And so I'm back as the head coach. So kind of full circle for me back at Southside.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the background. Those of you that don't know much about Coach Simpson, he does have an offensive system. I got a copy of that. It's the gun tee offense. You can get it on CoachTube. Lots of good information and some insights and some wrinkles that you can add to your offense, whether you're a spread team or a wing tee team or a single wing team or a two-back team. Doesn't matter what it is. A lot of good wrinkles. I know our team has implemented some of his stuff into our spread offense. Also, he's got the 3-4 swarm and fit defense, which we also have a copy of. Don't have it right now. My defensive coordinator has it. And he's got some other things, lots of books. I know one of his new books is 10 Tough Lessons, and another book that a good read is Find a Way. If you're first-time head coach, whether it's youth football, high school, or NCAA or whatever it is, CIS football out here in Canada. Great some learnings that he's learned along the way. And he also has recently, him and a bunch of other coaches have put together these two academies, an offensive coordinator academy and a defensive coordinator academy. Maybe Coach Simpson, maybe you could touch on those two just a little bit before we get into the mini clinic on Buck Sweep.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's like I mentioned earlier, just trying to reach coaches in different ways. And as you mentioned, we all learn differently. There's just not a lot of materials out there for a coach, whatever level they're at, and what's cool about the academies is we have guys that are at the collegiate level that are in them. We have guys that are at the youth level that are in it. We have guys at the high school level that are in it. And I wanted to put together something for a coach that, would come with essentially a workbook. I know that sounds kind of boring, but I want to leave, some kind of academy tool learning session with a finished product. So that was the whole goal of these academies. And so the offensive coordinator is obviously meant for offensive coaches, and we walk through a workbook of things that you build your own. Like we don't tell you to run this offense or that offense. We just do the things you need to do. Every coach needs to do, and you fill out the workbook as you go. Then I was really cool, really blessed to have some really neat coaches from all levels. I've got Noel Mazzoni in there. I've got high school coaches in there. Every level, every walk of offense we have in there. So you can find kind of what you need to build your offense. And then we just dropped the defensive one just real recently. And it's been pretty cool to see. Same idea. You walk through the workbook, you fill it out with your kids, your personnel, your terminology. But hopefully by the end of it, it's really made you think through the process. I know my first job as a defensive coordinator, I was 24 or 25 years old. And man, I wish I'd had some kind of tool, to help me. And that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Okay, no, that's great. I think any first-time coordinators or veteran coordinators could probably learn a few things, especially when you have names like Noel Mazzone on there, a veteran offensive coordinator at the NCAA level. And pick up headsets, guys. It's a great read. I read it every week or every month that it comes out. And as he mentions, it's a free product. You can go to his website at www.fbcoachsimpson.com, and all of the stuff that we've talked about here with the books, his academies, as well as other intricacies on how to build a practice plan or whatever is on that website, guys. And if you want to hit him up on Twitter, it's at FB Coach Simpson. I know from over the last couple of years, having done his Coach Tube courses and other stuff with him, he's always accessible, and he'll get back to you probably within a couple hours. He's one of the good ones out there that is not just selling you his stuff and not getting back to you with answers or questions that you have. So, Coach Simpson, we didn't come on here to talk about your website all night, but appreciate your time, and I know you have a little clinic for us tonight on Buck Sweep, and we'll appreciate whatever you can show us tonight on Buck Sweep, and hopefully we can all learn something. And I know I'll be taking notes as we go, because I'm sure there's some things that you don't have in your Coach Tube courses that you've learned in the last couple of years, and we can take some new notes.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I'm gonna go ahead. I think I can share my screen on here, and
Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah.
Perfect. You good right here? You're seeing Zoom, I would imagine. Okay. Let me get to so I've got all kinds of stuff here, and as Coach mentioned, they're on my site. I'm gonna go to just Buck Sweep here. Of course, we can do, when you get into these deals, you can talk about RPO, you can talk about a lot of stuff. I'm gonna kind of focus tonight on Buck, and just kind of how we do Buck and how we teach it. Because as Coach mentioned earlier, you can see this in every offense. You watch the playoffs now, you're going to see an NFL team running pin and pull or their version of Buck. You can watch under center wing T teams run Buck. You can watch 10 personnel, whatever. Everybody's kind of running their flavor of this stuff. And so I'm going to give you a real quick story, and then I'm not going to go too long. I know what you got on here to see how to run Buck Sweep, but basically, this is the story of the ham. I always kind of start off with this. So this guy and his wife are cooking Christmas dinner or whatever holiday you celebrate. They're cooking that dinner, and he buys this expensive ham, which right now they're really expensive, brings it home, and she chops off both ends of it, sticks it in the pan and cooks it. And he's mad. He said, well, you just wasted, a quarter of the ham cutting off both ends. And she comes back to him and says, well, that's how you're supposed to cook a ham. And he said, no, it's not. So she said, no, my mom did it that way. So they bring the mom in, and the mom agrees with her. She said, no, I've always been taught you cut off both ends of a ham, and that's how you cook it. It's better for you. And he said, I still don't think this is right. Where did you learn that from? So she says, well, I learned it from my mother. So the grandmother. So they bring the grandmother in, and the grandmother, he asked her, why are we cutting off both ends of the ham? And she looks at both of them and says, I don't know why they're doing that, but my pan was too small for my ham. And so a lot of times when we're looking at different things that we do, we look at Buck Sweep as a wing T play. We look at, hey, that's how it was run there. That's how it was run here. I don't know if you can do it in these different types of offenses. So hopefully after tonight, and I'll be relatively brief, but I do want to go through, I think you can implement this whether you're going to run my offense, your offense, whatever you have. This is a play that it does take some time, pin and pull or Buck Sweep, however you're calling it or flavoring it up. And we have both versions in our offense. It does take time. It's kind of an expensive play, but if you do it right, there's a lot of things you can do off of Buck Sweep, which you're going to see in that has become kind of the rage. So we're going to talk real quickly just about the base rules on Buck. Of course, I'm going to draw it up how I run my offense. So we are a 21 personnel team, or we're shotgun wing T. That's why it's called the gun T. So for us, the play side is always strong. We don't switch. Right, our linemen go strong and quick. Of course, you could just run them right and left, however your flavor is. With the play side, so anyone on the play side, so if you had a flexed out receiver over there as well, or if you had an unattached tight end, or whatever you've got right there, we would tell them they're blocking what's called gap down backer. And in wing T language, that makes a lot of sense. And sometimes in common sense, it does not. Essentially, what they're doing is they're blocking down or blocking inside, and they're going to block first level to second level. So if I'm the wing here on this diagram, I've got an inside player on the first level. That's what I'm blocking. Okay, the tight end, the same deal. I have a guy who's down from me. I'm going to block him. Okay, if they did not, they would work to the linebacker, so gap down backer. Okay, in our offense, because of personnel, we take our strong tackle and never go to the second level, although the base rule in this, he would actually go to the backside linebacker. Okay. Our guards on Buck are going to pull kick and pull wrap. And I'm going to go through a couple drills here in a minute with kind of how we do that. And then we are very RPO dependent on the backside. So I've just drawn it up the base way. Our backside tackle is going to gap protect. And then we're running double slants if we don't really call much. We can also tag that with other stuff. Okay. Running back is almost, if you're a zone or spread team, he's running like outside zone. And then he's going to follow the guard. I'm going to go through a couple drills kind of in this as we go. But I think it is a play, this is my gear, my stuff. But the idea here is have an identity. For us, it's an expensive play. It does take time, but you need to kind of have an identity on it. So for us, we're going to work some element of this play every single day inside of our practice time. Doesn't mean we're going to just line up and run buck sweep, but we're going to work some element, be that down block, be that whatever it is, some part of that's getting worked in our practice. And most of you, if you think about it, you're probably doing the same thing. You're probably making sure that you are working down block, pull kick, pull wrap, whatever it is, or mesh point. Okay. 3 drills I'm going to hit real quickly. And then, Coach, you chime in if I'm going quick or too slow or whatever, and I'll make sure I try to cover it. I want to get in depth enough, but not do too much. We're going to work down blocking at the first level. We're going to work down block at the second level because that's what the play side guys have got to do. And then we're going to work what we call the hurdle drill, but essentially now is our pull kick, pull, like our guards, how we're going to train them. Okay. So our down block, we view defensive alignment in 2 different ways. So most defenses you see now are penetrating type defense, trying to get upfield. Okay. So we're going to teach those guys as they are coming downhill, they're penetrators. We want to put our head across on the down block. So old school wing T, get your head across, kind of use your shoulder to start off with and bring your hand to pin them down. Don't let them just come flying through. Squeeze your splits, no gaps, all that stuff. But now we're starting to see more disciplined defenses. I don't know what league you play in or what you see, but you start to see these defenses that are a little more disciplined with reading the block. So if they read a down block, they've now taught their kid how to fight that. Okay, so those we treat as an over-the-top type player or a player who's not attempting to get upfield. He's attempting to read the block and play the block. The only difference we make on those is our angle. So if we are playing a team that's trying to get penetration, we're going to try to step across, get our head across. If we're playing a team that's not, we're going to put our head on his back to get more of a kind of vertical step and more of a horizontal seal on that player. So you need to obviously scout your opponent as you work that. But this is essentially what the drill would look like. And I've got it slowed down. I know Zoom film can be tough. We're going to step head across, and then we're going to pin him down. So we're leading with the shoulder, but then we're bringing the hand as we go. And I'll run it a couple times. So you can see it. We also have our guy with his hand up because we're trying to keep a low, flat back as we go. So the defensive player or the dummy on this is giving him a kind of a cue by having his arm up to keep our pad level down. And we don't want to raise up on this. So that gives us kind of a good wide base, good short steps. I could do a whole session on down blocks. Okay, but not the point of this one. This would be an example of a not very good one because he doesn't put his head in front or behind. When you watch right there how his head is squared up, we don't want that. We're either working one technique or the other. We don't want to work face in the hip. His pad level is good. Okay, his pad level is good. His initial strike is good. His first step's not bad. But we really want to harp on where we put our head. Second thing you'll notice about this clip, if you're watching it, is in the background, you see those hurdles. I'm about to get to that drill. Okay, but these drills are being run simultaneously. So in our offense, our guards are the big kind of thing that makes it go. So they're over there working a different type of drill while our wingbacks, tight ends, tackles, centers are all working down blocks. Okay, so we kind of practice structure stuff. Okay, second level down block's a little different. So now we're blocking a guy at the second level. So we are working to go block a linebacker. So on this one, okay, we are going to usually offset our lineman. I wish I had a drill clip on this. I need to add one. We're going to offset our defensive lineman here. So basically they're going to partner up with a guy. And the coach is back here going to give him a cue. So we're either going to tell him, hey, you're going to come forward like you're filling the gap, or you're going to scrape over the top. You're going to kind of work over the top. And what we're coaching up our player to do is if he fits, then we're going to seal him down. Okay. If he takes off, so I'm going to get my little drawing guy here. Okay. So if he flies, I can't, apparently, I'm not real good at this yet. We're getting there. Pin. There we go. If he flies this way, we don't want to chase. Okay. So like we're not going to do that. That's not good. That's going to create gaps, and we don't want that. So we're telling our guy, if both defenders do that, we ought to go here and block the next guy over. And we'll line them up all the way across there, and it makes it a very good visual key for our players to kind of understand, hey, we don't go chasing guys. We're staying on our path for that second level down block. Whatever shows up, we're going to pick up. Okay. So I can turn this off. Okay. All right, then we do the hurdle drill. So this is our guards. And we'll do this one and then show a couple clips, and then coach lets you ask whatever you want to ask. But so our hurdle drill, we're working with our guards. We're trying to get our guards, first of all, to figure out how to pull kick. So we do take a depth step. We do step back, and then we come towards the line of scrimmage at a slight angle on this kick block. And then on ours, we try to, if we can, we try to skip pull. So you may not have the guard who's athletic enough to do that, but we try to skip pull, which means keep our shoulders square as we're working towards the first gap. And we tell our pull wrap player that you're looking for first daylight, and you got to have your eyes inside. Okay. So those are big coaching points you can kind of see. I think this, I thought that was a video. Yeah. Well, I'll just kind of show you then because it's a picture. So we're also working the RPO on this. This is not an RPO session, but we do mix in the RPO with any play we run. But as far as the guards, we're going to pull kick. So you can barely see this one. And then our second guard is going to pull wrap through and get this little hurdle to kind of give him an aiming point. It also, a lot of times, will force the player to lower as they run through, which simulates kind of what we want, which is to sink before we strike. Okay. And then our running back will be following him. So our guards, running backs, quarterbacks are all together. Okay. Another kind of example of it, you can kind of see the setup here. So we're going to get a pull kick, a pull wrap. There's our running back. There's our quarterback. Okay. Here's how the drill is going. That's what a square pull would look like. Okay. And then what we have done on this, if you look at the beginning, we've got a towel right there around his outside of his shorts, kind of on the back hip. So as we pull, you'll watch where his eyes go, because his goal is to try to get that towel with his hand, which is going to put his eyes where they need to go so he can see kind of where to cut. Okay. And then you see that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish. We want this look every time we run buck or a flavor of pin and pull, because it allows our running backs to kind of get behind the blocking and make their read. And so in a game, that's what this should look like. And we should look like this. We should be able to look at our game clips and see hand on the lead, he's hidden behind him. Okay. Here's an example of one of my favorite ones, because he's literally grabbing his jersey. And we want that much, which makes our guys be disciplined and get the yardage that are needed. So imagine if you're a defender and this is coming at you. Okay. I mean, hard enough to read your key and make your fit, but now it's really hard to find the ball. And that's kind of our goal there. Okay. Here is how we've kind of upgraded the hurdle drill. So now we have movable bodies. So you'll kind of see our coaches are now moving to simulate. So now it's not just a static hurdle, but we're having to run and pull kick on a person. And then we're now wrapping, and you'll watch our running back does a good job, kind of subtle here. Watch our running back put his hand right there on the guard. We're really, really working that. Okay. This is what it should look like in a game. I've got a couple clips for you, Coach, and then I'll let you ask whatever you want to. So here's how tight it should look. Watch 43 right here. Okay, we're not perfect on this at all. Watch 43 find that guard, hand on the hip, and then he makes the cut. So 55 ends up making the block. We cut right off of that. Imagine if you're a defensive player. I'm going to try to pause it. If you're a defensive player right here, and I know it's kind of blurry, it's hard to find the ball. And that's kind of what we want. And so if we get this kick block there, there's your cutback. And that's how you make kids that may not be the best athletes good running backs, because they're going to follow the blocks. They're going to make the right cut. You're making it simple for them by telling them just to follow the guard. Okay. I think I've got a couple more clips here for you. This is what a good running back will look like doing it. Okay. So we're going to get down blocked. He does a great job right here following the guard. So get the hand on the guard, and then we're going to go through the run. Okay. So again, we're just trying to get right behind that guard, create just a little bit of space. You know, we run Buck a little different than probably a lot of under center wing T teams do. You know, we are okay if a team gets penetration as long as we get a seal. You know, we want the seal. You can see on this, we didn't really move them much, but we sealed them down, and we created the space we needed. Here's an example, relatively recent, about a year ago. Again, watch our running back get the hand on the hip. Boom, there it is. And we're going to take that 6-7 yards all night long. You know, take 6-7 yards. We're in a good spot right there. So again, follow, put your hand on the guard and get it. There's our pull kick. Pretty good job right there on the pull kick, getting his head on the correct shoulder. Just a real quick cue for that is pull right, hit right. Pull left, hit left. So if you pull right, you need to hit with your right shoulder. Pull left, hit with your left shoulder. That really gets their heads on the correct place. You know, I think I've got one more here, Coach, for you. Nope. Okay. Questions, Coach? I figure you may have some for your people that might be watching.
Yeah, I got a couple questions. So in the diagram on the first slide, you talked about the end would or the I guess the wing player was going to kick. He was going to down block the defensive end. What would you tell your wrapper or sorry your kick out guard if the defensive end, because normally you have that kick out guard going to knock out that end. If that end's being down blocked because he's inside that wing, what are you telling your kick out player to go? First color of another jersey, that's who he picks up?
Yeah, my assumption would be if they lined up like this, that strong safety is probably the force player. You know, we just make the assumption that every defense is going to have a force player. So we tell them, hey, we pull tight till something shows up. Some wing T teams will give them the option of wrapping inside. You know, our kids, I don't know if it's not that they're not smart, but that's a lot to put on a 15, 16, 17-year-old kid to read that. So we just tell them, you pull, and the first thing that shows up, if nothing shows up, run to the sideline. You know, because that means they don't have a force player, so they're not very sound. So we're probably going to be pretty good.
No, perfect. Appreciate that. And one point I want to ask about is you have the running back holding on to the guard that's wrapping so that he has sort of a cavalry coming at the defense. At what point is he allowed to let go or get off that wrap guard and make a cut, whether it's to the outside, to the grass, or back inside to where he feels he can kind of get more yardage? At what point do you tell him, or what target do you guys use as a get off? I can now make a cut in or out.
It usually ends up being about 2-3 yards downfield. We don't tell them. Like we just say, hey, get behind him, find him, and then make your cut. Usually what happens is whenever the linebacker and our guard are collisioning, that's when the cut's going to happen, because we tell our guards, and I should have probably gone over this a little more too, but our guards, we try to saw the defense in half. So our guards aren't very big. So we don't tell our guard to kind of sort through there and take a linebacker head up, because unfortunately for us, that guy probably is heavier than I am. So we tell our guard, when I'm attacking a linebacker, to cut him in half and block half of him, which makes it a very obvious cut for our running back. So that's kind of the drill we work on.
Okay. Oh, thanks. for the clarification on that. And then in your down blocking the linebacker drill, if that play side backer is moving away from the down block, what are you hoping that wrapper gets up to him eventually and makes that
Correct.
block?
Yeah.
So that the
Correct. Our mindset is whichever tackle, tight end, or wing, whichever one of them is free to go to the second level, we're going to aim for play side linebacker, but realistically, we're probably going to end up blocking backside linebacker, and then the wrapping guard should take him. Doesn't always work that way, but that's the theory.
Okay, and then two more questions, just for wrinkle purposes, to add a little layer to the play. Do you ever put a slot back in motion and pull him into as a wrapper with the wrapper to kind of give a little bit of an extra layer of padding for the back to follow, or is that not something that you guys do much
You
of?
could, for us, we have a play we call Trojan, which is very similar. It's more of a pin and pull where we're going to give more flavor of who can go. We try to generally flavor ours up with motions and stuff, and as far as RPO game stuff. I'm not saying you can't do that. It's just something we've not played with a whole lot.
Oh, fair enough. And then, do you guys run much quarterback buck sweep?
Oh yeah.
And when you run quarterback buck sweep, what do you have the tailback doing? Do you have him?
Well, we're a big empty team because I think empty with a tight end wing is like a nightmare to line up to for a team as a coordinator. So a lot of times we'll do empty, and then we'll have a key screen. He can throw that, or he can run buck. If he is in the backfield, there's a couple options you can do. Generally, for us, we're going to put him on the strong side, and he can either arc, go pick up whatever's out there, or we can flash him. Okay, flash him away, and then run Q buck. If he can read it, you could even run almost like bash, but block and buck. So there's a couple options you can do on that. For us, if he's on this other side of the quarterback, we probably would just run it with him and RPO the backside.
Okay, well, appreciate that. No, that's really good stuff. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and show us some of the buck drills that you guys do to get your pullers to where they need to be, and how to get those down blocks and get to that second level on the backers. And I appreciate the insights. I appreciate your time, Coach Simpson. And yeah, we're happy to had you on tonight. And again, anybody that wants his stuff or wants to kind of take a peek, www.fbcoachsimpson.com. Lots of great content on there. And if you just want to chat with him, reach out, have some questions, at FB Coach Simpson on Twitter. Like I said, he's one of the good guys. He's not just out there to sell product. He'll stand behind what he's selling, and he'll help you out. And if you have any questions, or if you're interested in something, he'll be able to give you some more details on what you're going to get in the content. So check him out, guys. Really, really innovative coach. One of the guys that I definitely follow a lot, and look at his stuff and kind of try to implement some of his stuff into my stuff. So I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for your time, and hope to have you back one day.
Oh man, honor's mine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.